Hi everybody, thanks for sticking with me. My name's Lauren Swift. I'm the development coordinator at Friends Association. And I have to say, you always know when Tom and Lynn are gonna come when there's a pile of shoes this big in the lobby, case manager's office, you can't move in there, so we greatly appreciate all the help from them. Just to give you a little bit of background about our mission, Friends Association provides programs and services to prevent homelessness and promote the independence of families with children. And that promoting the independence piece is what's so key in what the Seed and Scale grant did for us, so just keep that in mind. I'll get into this a little bit later, but this photo is from one of our workshops at the Oscar Lasco YMCA, which is a couple blocks from us, and this was one on medication safety. So our program was about life skills. And to jump right into the challenges, first thing, originally we applied for the Seed and Scale grant with the intention of hiring a full-time life skills coach. While very generous, the grant did not really cover what would go into the hiring and salary of a life skills coach. So instead, we kind of pivoted and said, okay, what can we do to put it into our current program? We have 4 case managers, and it greatly supplements the salary of the 4th case manager. And life skills is such a crucial component of our case management program, so that's how we're using the grant. So the problem that we see with housing and with, like in Chester County in general, in Chester County there is such a lack of affordable housing, and what comes with that is a lack of shelter space available. And what does that lead to? A lot of families unhoused in Chester County. Here at Friends, like what we try to do as a solution of that is not only to prevent homelessness, but what's the cause? What's the cause of the homelessness? What are the issues in your life that led to any kind of housing stability or homelessness? And a lot of what we found was like that lack of life skills. So incorporating life skills into our case management program is what really allows the families to become independent and then stop the cycle of homelessness. I feel like I can personally attest to this. When I started with Friends, I started with an ERAP program. I don't know if any of you are familiar, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program that started with COVID. And one thing I saw in my short time of ERAP was someone would apply for ERAP, and it's someone that we helped a year or more ago. And I think what really happened was I'm struggling with my rent, you give me money, but is there anything to tell me about banking, budgeting, all that kind of thing? So it just keeps happening over and over. So with these life skills, we can really kind of hone in on what the issues are and hopefully prevent the cycle. Just to give you like an overview of all the families in our case management program, since the grant, we've helped out 207 families. And just to give you kind of a little stat on the majority, kind of like half and half of our families, multiracial and white, 51 and 55. The majority of our families are Black, African, or African American. Within the families that we help, women or girls, 121 female, 86 male or boys. Ethnicity, majority of them being non-Hispanic or Latino. And the age range is kind of all over the place because, again, Friends is like we're focusing on the whole family. So 0 to 17, 116, but also because we meet families where they are. So in our shelter programs, you might have a family that's a 2-generation, 3-generation household. So it's kind of a variety of age ranges across the board. This photo is another one from the YMCA. We have a partnership with CHOP as well. So this is one of their dental students speaking to our families about dental health. One thing we learned is like, how might you think housing stability would change this? Now, me personally, I come from a higher education background. My life before Friends, I was an academic advisor for like 15 years. So my higher ed hat, I have Maslow's hierarchy of needs in my head. What's that first one? Shelter. So if you can get that housing piece in place, that's going to give you a stronger foundation to build all those life skills. Just some examples of the life skills that our case managers work with in the program, kind of the categories. So food, cooking, but also just grocery shopping, recipe building. You mentioned the finances, a good one, banking, budgeting, even things like how do I create a bank account? Am I eligible for a banking account? What's my credit score? How do I find that out? Even household items. If I don't have a house, I may not know how to work a washing machine or know what it takes to keep a house clean. And then some kind of the bigger picture thing, educational opportunities. What resources are there in the community? If I'm not college educated, does that mean that I don't have educational opportunities? No, but a lot of our families don't know what those opportunities are or have access to them. Job readiness, another partner we work with is the Chester County OIC. We've had a couple clients go through some of their enclaves. So stuff like that, but also just resume building, interview prep, and those kinds of things are basic life skills that a lot of our families haven't been able to learn before. And even something little, if I don't have a home, I might not know where my birth certificate is or any other Social Security card, other legal documents that are required to get a job or apply for school. These are all things that I need to know to move on in life. We also do a lot with community referral as far as like mental health support, legal services, besides the workshops that our case managers put on. We also refer the people out to a lot of partners in the community as well. And these are just some of the most, I'm sure there's more, but common like community resources that our case managers use. A lot of times they'll work with Open Hearth, with their Financial Stability Center, and learning those like budgeting and those kinds of skills. Mental health is another big need. If someone is struggling with their mental health, it can be kind of hard to focus on everything else and caring for their family. So they work a lot with Elwyn and Human Services. The Wardrobe is another great one, formerly Wings for Success in the Exton Mall. They do a lot with job preparation, but also working with clients, not only prepare for an interview, but I think they were allowed to pick out 10 outfits maybe, or like 5, different combinations of pieces so they're ready. Also in the mall, Prepared to Thrive. So our moms or dads, like people who don't have necessarily baby supplies, we work with them a lot as well. And as I mentioned, the Oscar Lasco YMCA, they house a lot of facilitate a lot of workshops for us and bring in other community partners. So these are just some few examples. The Westchester Food Cupboard, the Chester County Food Bank, they came the other week and did a demonstration on how to plant an herb garden, like on your porch if you don't have like a full-blown, garden out in your lawn. And CHOP, as I mentioned, they do a lot on dental hygiene, medication safety. I think another one that I didn't put up there, the Crimes Victim Center, they're doing one in a couple of weeks on building healthy relationships and boundaries. So just all kinds of things and working with these other resources and even just letting them know that our families know that these people are out there. There's just a lot of resources in the community that our families don't know about. And just to talk about a little bit of the impact that the Life Skills program has had, I think in one thing, it's made us think about how we can incorporate more life skills into our other programs. We have a great group of volunteers, and one of the biggest programs with our volunteers is meal delivery. So they can sign up to bring a meal when a family moves into our shelter. We also have a monthly program, but we thought, how can we expand this and work life skills into it? So one thing we're going to start doing is it's called Pantry Packs. It's going to be like more a grocery delivery program, but let's include recipes in there too. So we're not just here's some food, but what kind of healthy choices can you make with that? One story, our case manager, her name is Ellen, she said when I asked her about like an impact story or a positive outcome, she talked about this man named James that I talked about in the report, name change for privacy. But before James came to Friends, he had just been evicted from his apartment. He's a single dad, has 4 boys. They were living in their storage unit before they were referred to Friends. So if you can imagine that, being a single father living in a storage unit with 4 boys, and they're tall, the 4 boys. But before he came to Friends, so during that time living in the storage unit, his mental health really started to decline. So the first thing Ellen did was get him connected with mental health services. And once he started to feel more stable in that way, now it's like, okay, how can we help you, in other ways? He didn't know that he was eligible for a housing voucher. So Ellen helped him walk through that process, got a housing voucher, and then went through and helped him with his resume, learned about okay, what your skills are, what do you think you could be good at, and worked on his resume and explored educational opportunities. So now it's been almost a year later. James and his boys have been sustainably housed that entire time, and he's about to start an HVAC program. So just to goes to show you what kind of NCAP, and I really have to speak very highly of our team. They do so well, and they work so well with all our families, and I think it's just been, second nature bringing the life skills into the case management. It just makes so much sense.